This is the Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall.
Let's go nuts! It's Jimmy Nuts! Right out of the door!
With your hosts, Mark Martinez.
Because I'm the Mark and I'm awesome!
The Guru.
Today I'm going to break it down for all you simpleton sweat hogs listening out there in Can Crusher Nation. I don't mean to come out here week after week and toot my own horn, but toot, toot.
And the English Professor.
It is I, the English professor from the County of Kings, speaking the English of the Queen.
Hey, this is former WWE superstar Duke, the Dumpster Drosy, and you are listening to the Can Crushers Podcast.
What goes around comes around. Keep your circle positive, say good words, think good thoughts, and do good deeds. That's going to kind of be what we're going to do here on Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast today. But how, Mark? How are we going to do that? You guys are always getting into shenanigans and doing trouble-ish things. I don't know. Maybe it's my guest that's going to help me out. Guys, welcome back to the show. I am your host, Mark Martinez, and today, as you heard earlier this morning, we had an IWC recap, and now today we have our Can Crusher Spotlight, and it is with the Conduit of Good Karma, Miss Kaia McKenna. Kaia has graced us to come on the show and clean up our act a little bit. She can hope so. She can only hope so. She's a good witch, and I don't know, she's got to sprinkle a lot of fairy dust or something in on here because we've been a train wreck recently. You guys know that. Listen to our Ask Can Crushers episodes. We've been all over the place. Kaia and I met a while back in an independent show, and I want to make sure she's on when we tell this story because it can go one or maybe two different ways. It's going to probably go the bad way. I'm shocked that she's actually coming on the show because, yeah, all right, I'll just leave it at that. That's a teaser. It was bad. It was bad for her, and I feel for her. So, all right, she's on the line. She's waiting for me to stop rambling. So let's talk about Collar and Elbow real quick, and then we'll get to Kaia. Collar and Elbow, guys, you know, hats, hoodies, tees, all the cool merch. The new fall line was just released about 2 weeks ago. Head over there, check it out. Collar and Elbow, the great shirts that we always wear. I, again, still have just my normal plain Jane Collar and Elbow shirt on. They're so comfortable. I mean, I can wash them and keep them in the dryer for like a day and a half just running, and they don't shrink. They're breathable. They're awesome. Mr. Al Snow did a great thing when he founded Collar and Elbow. Guys, head over there and check them out. collarandelbow.com, and then when you check out, use the promo code CANCRUSHERS. All one word, capital C in can, capital C in Crushers, and you'll get 10% off of your order. So, all right, let's head to Al Snow, and then we'll join Kaia McKenna right here on Can Crusher Spotlight.
Wrestling. A love and a passion we all share. I've started a wrestling brand. The wrestling brand. A brand founded on the aspects of wrestling. Two entities working together to create a product that connect emotionally for people everywhere. Collar and Elbow is the brand. Passion and love for wrestling is the drive. I am Al Snow, and this is Collar and Elbow, the wrestling brand.
And welcome back to Can Crushers. I'm so excited for this interview. We met a long time ago. The story's to come. But guys, keep your eye on the Conduit of Good Karma, the Good Witch, Kaia McKenna. Kaia, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing this afternoon?
Good. We do have a funny story, but we have to keep teasing this, how we actually met, right?
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Can't give up all your secrets.
Right, I agree. So how's everything going with, I know we're still in the COVID, we're on the outskirts of it, some states are really still full-fledged into it. How's everything going with you?
Everything's actually going really well. I have taken this extra time that I have been given, or that we've all been given with quarantine, and I've really kind of used it to just think of ways that I can just improve upon my own existence, like how I can be less stressed, how I can be more organized, if it's related to wrestling, like how I can get things together, how I can get better training, how I can work at better shows. So it's just given me a lot of time to like kind of become a little bit more tactical and strategic. So I've really enjoyed it. Hopefully it's going well for you guys.
It is going well for us. It is. We've developed some stuff prior to quarantine that we were going to blow up and have some live feeds and this, and then quarantine has pretty much shut us down. But we revamped. There's stuff that people haven't seen that we're ready to release when everything's wide open again. So we're excited about that. Thank you, though.
Of course.
Before we get into wrestling, though, I do have to ask you, what have you done for yourself, though? Not wrestling related. Did you just take a couple weeks, and I know it's now old news, but I could still talk about it for months. Did you enjoy Tiger King? Did you find a show that you just watched all of it like The Office, or did you just take some me time to say, all right, so I was beat up a little bit, so this month that we're thinking this is going to last, can I relax for a month?
I actually welcomed the opportunity to relax for a month. My life is quite busy with wrestling and everything else that we all do outside of wrestling. So I was, at first I was a little frustrated because when you're used to kind of going nonstop and you have to be here and you have to be there and you have to do this and you're traveling this weekend and then you're trying to come up with merch or you're trying to train and you always have something on your plate, to come to like a screeching stop is quite the experience. But once you learn to pull yourself back and appreciate this gift of downtime, it becomes really, really good. So I just kind of tried to focus on myself. I tried to eat a little bit better. I tried to start going to the gym a little bit more consistently and more reasonably. So like not aggressively going for like hours at a time, but like setting a time limit for myself on that. And getting outside a little bit. I started riding my bike in the morning on the boardwalk. I just started doing like more things to kind of occupy the time that would enrich my life in different ways.
That's great. That's great. We took it as my family. We just hunkered down for the first couple weeks and just made it family time. Like we brought the old Nintendos out. We're video game nerds, first of all. So we brought out all the old stuff and we played, or my son read some more, which is now he's kicking ass in school this year. So we just made it completely about family. And it was like a rebirth. It was like, all right, we're not going to go here. We're not going to go there. And it's okay to just enjoy your family.
Yeah, I'm glad that you guys were able to get that time together out of it, that you were able to kind of see like, okay, we actually have some time to spend with each other and really kind of grow as a family. That's really nice to hear. It's also really cool that you have the old video game systems. I'm pretty sure I still have my Nintendo 64 somewhere, and it is very functional. So.
This wasn't even on the docket, but were you a huge wrestling fan on the Nintendo 64?
Kind of. Sort of. I played a lot of like Pokemon, and I had GoldenEye I really liked growing up. And what else did I like to play on the Nintendo 64? I love the Mario games. Like Paper Mario is actually one of my favorite games.
Nice.
Zelda, of course. So yeah, I did have the occasional wrestling game in the mix, but I was very much a classic Nintendo fan as well.
Nice. Yeah, we showed my son Tetris. I mean, all of them. We could make this a video game one and just go. But we're talking about this Saturday. This coming Saturday, Goddess of War Part 2 in Ocean Gate, New Jersey, and you're taking on Adriana Mosley. First of all, let's get your thoughts on the whole brand of Goddess of War, because since we've reconnected and we've talked, I've dove in and watched some stuff, and if there's a flag to be waved or whatever, I want to start waving that flag. I really do. I want to make it to the next show. It is a kick-ass group of talented wrestlers there. It really is.
I agree with you completely. I think that every female that performs for goddesses truly embodies the term goddess and what it is to be a goddess and what it means to be a goddess and how to put yourself out there as you are larger than life and you're confident in your abilities. And it's been a very good experience to be surrounded by women who are of that caliber and can put on that good of a performance and create a product for you guys to enjoy, even during, I guess I would say even during like the COVID times that we're currently adapting to, right?
Yeah.
So Goddesses is great. It's a great platform. They give a lot of exposure to a lot of female talent that are up and coming. They have a lot of good veterans come through. It's a great balance and it's a great family experience on top of it. So I'm really glad that you guys have kind of gotten into it. Hopefully come out to a show sometime.
Yeah, like I said prior to recording, if I didn't drop the ball on my son's birthday last weekend for issues, clearly would have made it out. But it reminds me, and this is me saying it, and I hope you agree, but it is to me 80s wrestling because it's and you brought it up, it is the characters. It is, I get engulfed into, of course, growing up in the 80s, Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, Iron Sheik, the characters. And that's what Goddess is doing to me, bringing it back, thinking, oh my God, you're a good witch. And there's other characters, and I'm engulfed into it. I love it. So kudos.
Yeah, we definitely have thank you. We have a very, very cool roster. There is Holly Dead. She's a great character. I'm trying to think who else. Mother Endless. Like, there's so many larger than life people that bring their personalities to this brand, and I think that's part of what makes it special.
Holly Dead's a huge name, guys. You should know her from the Twisted Sisters with one of the greatest out there right now, Thunder Rosa. They were together for a while. We actually saw them at a Rise event one time. Unbelievable. So let's talk about your opponent, though. Adriana Mosley. Have you guys crossed paths before?
I've crossed paths with her a few times, and she seems like she's a great talent. I've never had the fortune of sharing a ring with her, so I'm very excited about our upcoming match this Saturday. I think she's a really formidable opponent, and she's going to pose a huge challenge. But I'm ready for that challenge. I'm so ready to prove myself as being worthy of being at Goddesses. I definitely am excited about that.
Yeah.
I do not actually know if I personally do not have any beef with Adriana. I don't think she has one with me. So hopefully it's just a really good, sporting outing. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I think it's just going to be a really good match. It's hard to sometimes articulate, you have two people, I'm a good witch. I'm great. Adriana's very talented. I think that we're going to make some magic happen for everybody Saturday.
All right. Enough about Goddesses right now. We'll wrap back around to that, but let's do the rewind and find out how you got introduced to this amazing wrestling business that we're in. Was it mom, dad, Uncle Jack, a friend? How did you find wrestling?
My family actually were wrestling fans growing up. When I was a kid, we all used to sit on the couch together and watch Monday Night Raw. My brother was a huge wrestling fan. My aunt's a huge wrestling fan. To this day, I go to my aunt's house and we hang out and watch wrestling. My grandmother liked wrestling. My mom used to take us to the shows when we were kids. And for always having an appreciation for wrestling and even independent wrestling, we were into that too when I was a teenager. I didn't really come to start participating in wrestling until I was a little bit older, but that's okay. I like to think that young Kaia is very, very proud of adult Kaia right now for pursuing her dreams.
Hey, one of the greatest, DDP, didn't start till he's 40, and I don't know your age, nor do I want to know your age or anything. It doesn't matter because I'm not that guy. But you can run with it because DDP did it, and he's a legend, and Kaia can be too.
I definitely plan on being a legend. That is a long-term goal of mine.
Yeah, you're already jumping ahead on my questions. Slow your roll, kid. No, I'm kidding. So I always have to know, wrestling figures, did you have them? Were you a big fan of the Hasbros, the Jacks? Did you make your own events and cards when you were growing up? Or did you just play what was on TV, if it was Repo Man against Ted DiBiase or something?
I kind of grew up in the country, so we didn't have a lot of really accessible technology when I was really young. So a lot of it was just hanging out, waiting, and hoping wrestling was on TV until I was old enough to figure out that it comes on Mondays or it comes on Saturdays or whatever, and then you could plan a little bit better, right?
Right.
So I did have a couple of figures, but most of my wrestling just came like by the luck of catching it on TV. You know, it was not like, I guess now like you can go on the internet and you can see like what night there's wrestling on every night of the week now, which I think is awesome. But now you can go on the internet, you can see like what wrestling's on, who's having what match, what day. It's all right there. All that information is right at your fingertips. But like when we were kids, we didn't have that. You were just kind of hanging out, waiting and hoping and praying The Rock was going to be on this week, or you were going to see Stone Cold Steve Austin. And sometimes I feel like I miss that element of surprise when I watch wrestling these days, you know, like the not knowing what's going to happen.
I completely agree with you. I say that this is the new golden age of wrestling because you're right. It's on every day of the week. Us fans, us marks, I'm duly named Mark, we can watch wrestling until the cows come home, literally. But I know it's not that I know it's going to happen. I don't need to know the lineup all the time. I want to go to an event when I was 5 and find out, like I said, that Andre the Giant was going to fight Hercules Hernandez. Holy crap, that match has never been seen. It's never been seen maybe in Erie, but it just happened 3 miles down the road, you know, or whatever. But I agree, the surprise is part of wrestling, right?
Yes, I went to a house show in 2003 with my mom and my brother. And we actually got to see Eddie Guerrero wrestle Ultimo Dragon, which was really cool for a SmackDown house show. And I feel like I remember that match to this day. It was incredible, but it wasn't something that you would like catch on TV too frequently.
Wow. Yeah. So let's talk about some of your favorites growing up a little bit. I picture you as a huge Lita fan. I really do. The way I've seen you move around the ring, am I right there? Or am I off big time?
No, I definitely idolized Lita growing up. I thought she was super cool. She was like no other girl that had been in wrestling so far. I thought she was really awesome. And that she could wrestle, right? You know, like it was a time period where like women were transitioning into like having more of a presence. And like she was definitely on one of the forerunners of that movement. I really like China for that reason. And going back a little bit further, I actually like Luna Vachon. So all of those women, to me, are just very confident, strong women that are great role models as a female wrestler.
Luna doesn't get enough love on Can Crushers. She doesn't.
She's wonderful.
Yeah, she was a huge player. Just people thought she was, and I hate to say it like this, just a sideshow freak. She was a huge player in what you call this women's revolution right now. Oh my God! Thank you for bringing her up.
Were great.
Yes.
She had a great promo, too. Like, she got it, and she doesn't get hardly any of the credit she deserves.
Nice.
I agree with you guys.
So you're pretty young into the business of professional wrestling, and do you still get the jitters for the matches? What was your first match like? Let's talk about all of that.
You do, actually, because you have that sensation, as cliche as it is, where you're like standing there and you're like, I've been training my whole life for this moment. And you have. So it totally makes sense that you would have that feeling. And you do get a little bit nervous. But to be 100% honest, when you're out there and you're doing the thing and your mind is focused on winning and what you need to get done, it almost is like it's just you and your opponent. Like the people are there and you can hear them and they're feeding you and their energy is surrounding you. But like the second that you walk out there, it's like a switch goes off and you're like, all right, I got this. I can do this. You feel confident in your abilities to perform and your ability to win. You have no doubts. Like all of that just for some reason just gets shed at the curtain.
Nice. And your training is by somebody pretty big. Pretty freaking big. He might be seen on Raw. He's a church-going type of guy. He's a messiah. You trained at Black and Brave with Seth Rollins. Please tell us a huge story about that, because I heard Seth is one of the greatest. You know, we know OVW, we know the Iron City Wrestling, we talk about some other ones, but Seth freaking Rollins. Yeah.
Yeah, he's no joke. Very, very, very good at what he does. His school is very tough. There's a very high expectation. They do not have time to play around. But if you go and you give all of your energy, all of your heart, all of your soul, if you try as hard as you can, if you really want to be good and get better, you will leave 100% confident in your ability to perform well, to perform safely, and you'll be confident in who you are as a performer. Like, they really did help shape me in that sense. His knowledge is just so vast, and he's so methodical about wrestling, and he just gets it. I know that's like very like cliche to say, oh, he just gets it, but like, he really gets it. Like, he understands how wrestling is supposed to go, and to be trained by him, to be at his school, to have him willing to share that knowledge with all of us is just such a treat. It's a great experience. It really is.
I want to talk about your path there, because your path there is unbelievable, and we'll get to that. But I want to ask you about Seth's working with Dominic Mysterio right now. It's almost like Seth handpicked him and said, "I'm going to mold Dominic Mysterio into the next great thing." I mean, he's got his dad. He's got a lineage in himself. But you see that Seth is just molding Dominic and being the next huge star on Raw. Am I right or wrong?
I definitely think that there's a little bit of guidance that's being offered there from everybody. I mean, you take a kid like Dominic Mysterio, who comes from the pedigree that he comes from. He has all the tools to be successful. He's got a great look. He's got good charisma. And he's got not only his father, but then Rollins in his corner as well. Like, strap a rocket to this kid, man. He's going to the moon. Yeah. And rightfully so, because he's worked very hard to be there. You know, just, I think sometimes the same things are said about Charlotte, right?
Right.
Like, everybody discredits Charlotte's work. And it's, if you really think about it, at the end of the day, if you take the Flair name off of Charlotte and you just put her on the indies, right? Like, you just put her on like Black Label Friday or whatever.
Yeah.
Any top indie, she would hands down be the top talent on that show, male or female. She would outperform everybody there. And you can't take that away from her. Like, you have to give credit where credit is due. And I definitely think Dominic Mysterio is going to end up being another person like that, like, with or without the family name, with or without the WWE, he's going to be a performer that no matter where he goes will be successful.
I agree. 100% agree with you, especially on the Charlotte Flair thing. All right, so let's rewind again and tell everybody how you got to Seth Rollins' training, because you just didn't jump right into that, did you?
No, it was a little bit of a process, but when I first decided I wanted to get into wrestling, I just started showing up at indies and offering to help out. As you know, we all hear about, oh, pay your dues, kid. But really, I showed up to a local indie in Baltimore, and I offered to help. And then after I helped set up the ring and set chairs, I just kind of made some friends with some people who were there that day, predominantly two gentlemen in Riot City, Sick End and Vic Ramone, who then were willing to work with me a little bit and kind of just let me get my feet wet in the ring. They helped train me to be a manager, to be a good valet. I got to go around with them, meet more people, get a little bit more training under my belt. And you know how, like, you hit a point where you're like, okay, I really like this and I'm really passionate about it and I just need to keep growing and I just want to keep learning. And it's like, you just want to learn from as many people as possible. So when I was sitting there, I was like, who else can I learn from? Like, where else can I go to keep learning? And that was at the forefront of my mind. So I was like, I'm going to go to Black and Brave and I'm going to learn. And when I graduated Black and Brave and I moved back to the East Coast, I was like, I'm going to go to Worldwide Dojo and I'm going to learn from Cheeseburger and I'm just going to keep learning from people. So just that is kind of how I built up to where I am today. Is I started just setting chairs, and then you meet people and you get a little bit of experience here, and then you go get experience there, and then maybe you're setting up chairs at a bigger place, and then you meet bigger people, and then you get bigger experience. It just kind of builds, but you never want to stop learning. And there's no, like, everywhere you train, everybody who teaches you, like, you can take something away from it, right? Whether it be,
for sure,
you know, whether it be like you're just at like the local indie and a veteran tells you, hey, when you run the ropes, don't do this or whatever. Like, that's knowledge you can take with you other places. Or like if you're at Black and Brave and Seth Rollins goes, hey, when you do a back body drop, like go in like this, like little small things, like no matter where you're at, you can always learn. And you should always be trying to learn from as many people as you can.
And out of that, you brought up a name that actually that's where we become connected. So this is the time that you're going to find out this story. The Riot City. We were working with an independent company, and we had to bring a playhouse, a outside big ass playhouse that, I don't know, must have weighed 5,000 pounds because I wasn't carrying it, but my boys were, because I had to get in and do some promotions and stuff, and they struggled. And you saw them struggle outside, didn't you?
I kind of looked the other way to spare your dignity.
It wasn't mine. It was the other bus. I have no dignity, first of all. So this.
No, I did see you guys struggle. Figured that it was because it was awkward. That was
right.
That was the thought.
It was awkward. So, all right. That's my part of the story. I'm going to pass it over to you and finish this up because, and then we reconnected probably within the last month, and I'll get to that as well, but tell the rest of that night's story, and it's unbelievable.
Okay, so after they wrestled the Playhouse, it was sitting in the venue prior to the show, and, we're just walking around, you're saying hi to everybody, you're talking to your opponents, you're meeting people, and Vic and Sickend and I happened to walk by this Playhouse, and I can't remember who it was. Somebody in our group was like, yeah, we should use that in the match. And I was like, yeah, we should. That would be really, really cool. And then at that point is when they came up with the finish, which was putting their opponent through the roof of the Playhouse, and that I would put it into the ring. And I was like, oh, okay. And, I'm looking at it like you guys, like, oh, it's a plastic Playhouse, whatever, right? So I lift the edge of it, and I'm like, yeah, I can get that in the ring. Totally done, right? So we go to the back, figure out the rest of the match, go to have the match. And when we come out, it gets to the point, it's a hardcore match, so it gets to the point where Vic's signaling for me to go get the Playhouse. So I go to get it, and I just start pushing it over to the ring. And when I get it to the ring, I actually squat down to pick it up. And that's when I realized, oh my God, they left this in the yard, and it's full of rainwater, and it was so heavy. I had to power clean it up off the floor onto the second rope, and then Vic kind of guided it into the ring. But lifting it, when I lifted it, it was just it had to be 90 pounds. I guarantee you. And then all this mud water just came pouring out of it and just covered me. So as crazy as it was, it made for a pretty cool moment in the match. Because, at the end of the night, we won the match. We're victorious. We're all dirty and covered in this mud that just looks like we went to war. But I just remember going to pick that up and being like, oh my God, this was so much heavier than I thought. But when I really got underneath of it and lifted it, it went up pretty easy.
The other guys, I won't name any of them so they don't get embarrassed during this interview, but they know when they're listening. They looked at me and they're like, this little girl just picked this MFing thing up and tossed it in the ring. We couldn't walk it up a ramp and bring it through double doors. Their mouths were like, what the fuck did she just do? And I'm like, you guys were carrying it. I was promoting and doing stupid things. I didn't even know it got brought into the building. You blew us all away that night, and we're like, holy shit. One, she's going to go somewhere, either as a valet or manager or whatever, because we didn't know your story as of yet. And they still talk about it, that they couldn't carry a house, but this little girl, it's always going to be the little girl from that promotion in Riot City that just threw this ring into the ring as 4 40-year-old men couldn't move this 90-pound thing.
Well, I guess the other thing is, at the time I was training to be a wrestler, so it's I was doing a lot of lifting and stuff. And if you're going to be able to lift people, you have to be able to do it safely. So you have to be strong enough to do it. So maybe that's where the strength came from. Or it could have just been pure adrenaline, because you're just in your head, oh my God, I got to get this in the ring. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I got to do it. So I just put everything into it and got it up and into the ring and got covered in mud in the process.
We didn't look at you, and I actually didn't know that you were completely covered in mud. Did you kind of glance over at us and say, you guys are assholes or anything like that? I mean, did you because you knew it came from us.
I didn't even put two and two together, because at the time, I was so focused on doing what needed to be done for the match. I remember after I put it into the ring, I had a Riot City t-shirt on, so I was wiping my face on my shirt, trying to get all the mud off my face before I knew we had to be back in the ring to do a promo. So, but yeah, I know that you guys were you sitting?
Front row,
sitting
right by.
Yeah. you were sitting front row right beside me when I lifted it, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Now that I'm thinking back on it, because I remember when I was pushing it, like somebody offered to help. It might have been you guys, and I was like, no, I got it. I mean, next time I think I might take you guys up on that help. If for no other reason, it'd be easier when it was, 3 people instead of 1.
Well, yeah, or maybe we should have made sure that the jackass that brought it down, and one of my best friends, should have power washed it, should have drained the water out of it, should have did something. Thank God I didn't touch it.
The water definitely explains why it was so heavy, right? Like,
right, sure. So then we reconnected on Instagram probably like a month ago. I just kept seeing this name over and over and over, and then I saw the goddess and things. I'm like, oh, I've been following that, and I just need to see who this is. And you then you're like, you remember Riot City throwing the house in the ring? I'm like, no effing way, that's you, because you kind of, I don't want to say you grew up from that little girl, but you became, the good witch compared to little Riot City girl. So you've changed in the couple years that we have not seen each other.
Well, yeah, and everybody in wrestling kind of grows a little bit as you start to find yourself in wrestling and find what you really want to do as a gimmick. And even honestly, what I'm doing now might not be what I'm doing 3 years from now. I'm sure you guys have seen it being wrestling fans that people perform. Look at The Rock, what The Rock started out as, what The Rock finished as, or Stone Cold Steve Austin, right?
Right.
So I think that evolution is a huge part of becoming successful as a wrestler, is just kind of going through all of the phases and growing and learning and trying new things,
Well, we're glad to be a part of one of your first experiences getting doused in mud in a building. But so recently,
that was almost a year and a half ago now.
Yeah.
It was a huge snowstorm that day too, if I remember correctly.
It was.
It's really wild. Yeah.
Welcome to Central Pennsylvania.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I'm from the beach. I'm not a snow person.
I'm so jealous.
I got my fill of snow in Iowa this winter. Let me tell you, it snows a lot in Iowa.
Oh, yeah, I'm more in Pennsylvania, so I'm glad you went there and we didn't go there. So recently you were on, and I want to talk about this because I didn't get to watch it, so I just want to know a little bit more about it. You were on Camp Leapfrog. What the hell?
Camp Leapfrog is great. You definitely need to watch it on IWTV. It's basically wrestling summer camp with a little bit of 90s flavor. It's the plot is that all of these wrestlers go to summer camp and we have conflict doing camp activities that lead to matches. And there's a lot of just fun and pranks and it's very, very light. And I think it's something that the wrestling world needs right now. It's the brainchild of Chris Levin. He's a creative genius when it comes to stuff like this. So definitely check out Camp Leapfrog on IWTV. I just don't know how to describe it other than it's this wacky 90s wrestling summer camp. It's great. It's so great.
Yeah, I know a couple other people there. Calvin Couture was there.
Yeah.
It just seems, even talking with him at the show this past weekend as well, it was just so much fun. So that's something, guys, Can Crusher Nation, head over there, make sure you watch it. Now you know 2 people that have been part of it. You might know more. It just seems a lot of shenanigans went on, is what I can say.
Yeah, definitely go check it out because we also are going to be doing a sequel to it for Halloween. So stay tuned. Make sure you catch the first one.
Ooh, spoiler. All right. Let's get back into wrestling a little bit more. And then I know you're busy. You're getting ready to go to the gym. But let's talk about film study. We brought up Luna and China and Lita, but is there anybody you're taking older school, or is there new school stuff that you kind of take and you're like, I can tweak this a little bit and make it my own?
I'm actually, when it comes to tape study, I'm a big Michinoku Pro tape study fan. I think that those guys have it totally down pat when it comes to expressing themselves as a character, but also being solid in-ring performers. They really know how to structure a match in a way that kind of captures the audience. I really like Super Delphin. I like Grand Naniwa. I think that all of those characters are great. I also watch a lot of All Japan wrestling. I really like to watch Misawa. I love to watch Stan Hansen when he was over there.
Yes.
Those are some great matches. You can always learn something from watching those matches and how those guys perform. And one of the things that I think is really great about those matches is not only are they like structurally sound, but everything they do is like just so smooth, and it's like smooth as fast and smooth as clean. And you don't have to do the craziest off the wall move to be impactful. Like, they were very, very good at being memorable to people by being entertaining and creating these moments, you know?
We say that all the time.
Wrestling these days.
We say that all the time. No disrespect, the one that always pops to my mind is Ricochet. I think he does as great as he is, I think he does too much in the ring to get that move across that you're like, okay, we get it anymore, you know?
Well, for me personally, I'm not somebody that has the athletic prowess that Ricochet has when it comes to flying around. It's very impressive, and there are plenty of people like on the indies that have like that skill set, right? Like,
right.
You look at somebody like the Rascals or Chris Bay or Ben Carter. Like, those guys are just phenomenal athletes. They're incredible, but I don't have that skill set. So I, kind of try to lean into things that I'm really good at. And I find that when I do a lot of tape study from those particular eras, I find stuff that I can use that resonates with me and my ability and what I'm trying to do as a performer. So it's just all what you're trying to do as a performer. And really, we need everybody in wrestling. There's really a spot for everyone. Like, no matter what your style is,
right,
you can find a home in wrestling. So.
I agree. It might not be my cup of tea, and your Stan Hansen lariat is my cup of tea. Yes. So, Kyle, what are your goals for, let's say, the next year and then 5 years? What do we got going on? Because I know at one point you just wanted to be on TV, and you crushed that. You're on TV. But now you shifted. What's your next goal for a year and then 5 years?
I don't really think 5 years out. Sometimes I feel like that's like limiting yourself, right? Like, I think the overarching goal is to be successful in wrestling. Personally, for me, the overarching goal is to really just have fun and have a good time. Because if you're not having a good time when you do this, then you need to stop doing it because it's not worth it.
Touché.
So just I want to always enjoy myself. I always want to be moving forward. And to your point, yes, being on TV was my goal. Like, I wanted to, even if it was just IWTV, I actually have a match coming up on IWTV in the next 2 weeks for Fight Club Pro Summer Jam. It's a triple threat against Jeremy Grimes and Saul Esparza. So if you guys want to check out that would be really cool too. They're a great promotion out of the Baltimore, DC area. So I guess I've knocked that goal out of the park, but my next goal would then to be have within a year a match at a super indie. So something that would be along the lines of like Black Label Pro or GCW, AAW, anything in that wheelhouse, right?
Right.
Or to have a match that would be televised. So like a match for Impact or a trial match for WWE or AEW or anything like AEW Dark, for example, one of the bigger companies.
NWA is coming back working with Hollywood. So
I love that.
Yes, I'm excited about that too.
I love that they're working with AEW. I think that's really, really cool. Especially, like going back to the days of the territories to kind of bring that back into the fold is really nice. I think it's incredible. They've had Thunder Rosa on there defending her championship a couple of times. And I really like that foil. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, as I said, it's the new golden age, and as much as let's all not say that we don't know this. WWE is the top of the ladder right now, without a doubt. But these territories working together, I think it just adds something that kids that are 30 and younger have no clue what the hell is going on, right?
I don't know, it's really interesting. It is kind of like the new version of the territories, right? Yeah. But I think it's so good for like wrestling in general that there's so much out there and it's so accessible. Like, and if you don't, like, you can be a wrestling fan these days and not watch WWE. Like, you don't have to, like when I was growing up, like that's what was there. And like WCW, right? And I guess ECW was around when I was growing up too. But like, you don't have to watch WWE if you don't want to. There's plenty. You can watch wrestling all week and not watch one WWE show. Or if you just want to watch all WWE, that's more accessible than ever. You know, like it's all just so at our fingertips. And I think that that's really, really cool. And I really like the idea that AEW is kind of dabbling in letting NWA champions defend their titles on that show. That's really something that you're not seeing anybody else do at the moment.
No, and I love it. I love it. All right, a couple more questions. What's the good witch tell the little good witchies that want to get into professional wrestling? You're young, but you know you have fans who are going to say, Kaia, how can I do this? What do I do? You know, besides, hey, go to school, what's your big piece of advice for kids?
I would definitely say, yeah, hey, go to school. Definitely it's worth it to go to a very good wrestling school. There are plenty of them out there these days. So if you're serious about it, please go to a very good school and be trained appropriately and know how to perform safely and perform well. But aside from that, which is the given, I would say that, you know, just be a kind person, be good-hearted. You know, when you're going to school or as you're pursuing wrestling, just kind of find what you do and do it well. That was a piece of advice that was given to me at Black and Brave from Becky Lynch. When I asked her, like, when you're building a moveset, what should you focus on? Or, like, you know, when you're trying to figure out how to present yourself, what should you do? And she told me to just find what I do and do it well and not worry about what I can't do. So if you're going through the motions of becoming a wrestler and you're feeling frustrated or you're feeling stuck, just sit back and find what you do well and just make yourself really great at it. That would be a huge piece of advice that I would pass on. And then, like I said earlier, just, you know, as you start to do more wrestling, don't necessarily focus on so much what you're doing physically with your body, but like what you can do to be memorable to people by being entertaining. Because at the end of the day, it's sports entertainment. And I know all of us remember when Kurt Angle sprayed the milk truck, right?
Right.
Like everybody knows that. Like, and it had zero to do with physical wrestling. So don't lose sight of that either, right? You know, just remember that it's a process. It's okay, but like do it well and figure out how you can be memorable to people.
A lot of the moments in wrestling are more memorable than the matches. We always say that.
Yeah, especially like if you're not like an obsessed, like if you're not like very, very much into the structure of wrestling, right? If you're a casual fan, like you're more apt to remember something like that than you are to remember like a spot in a match that stuck out to you.
Yep.
You know, you're just watching for different things.
All right, this is my favorite question all the time. Let's see if you get it right. A lot of people don't listen to my whole thing because once I say it, they're like, oh yeah, I know this. What's your dream match? And it's got to be who, where, and what stipulation. People always give me the who right off the bat before I get done asking a question, but it's the where and the stipulation also that I want to know why then.
I would love to like have, oh man, this is a tough one. I think it would be really cool to have a submissions match with Dean Malenko and ECW in the mid-90s.
Damn, I didn't expect that. You just blew my mind. That's awesome. Yes. I could see that. I love that. Why?
I want to have like just a hardcore match with China at SummerSlam 2000. I think that would be cool too. Like just because the energy of the crowd in that particular era of wrestling was just so awesome.
Yeah, I agree. Dean Malenko, thank you for bringing that back up. I love that. That'll probably be something that's actually written in the bio about this whole podcast right now, just because. Wow. All right. What else?
I like pure wrestling. I like Dean Malenko. I think he's incredible. He just could wrestle anybody, even as a cruiserweight. Like he could wrestle anybody, no matter if they were another technician, if they were a brawler, if they were a high flyer. He could have a great match with them. And I just always thought that was so cool how he just knew how to make moments, you know?
Body contortion. He would just twist people the wrong way. Yeah.
There's a little bit of a resurgence going on for that right now. Ring of Honor is running their Pure Title tournament, which is pretty awesome if you guys haven't seen any of that yet. You know, obviously Jonathan Gresham's in it. He's great. So if you're into that sort of thing, I definitely recommend checking it out. Quite incredible.
Gresham shows up at the local IWC here in Pittsburgh all the time. He's been a Super Indie champion, and I think pound for pound, he is the best technical wrestler out there right now. We saw him, you know, a few years ago. Him and Adam Cole were in a match. Him and Josh Alexander in a match, and he just came back recently. He's beefed up. My God, he's huge, but I don't want to give him my pinky toe because he would just make me tap. He's unbelievable what he does in that ring.
Well, and that's what's cool too. Like I was saying with the tournament, is they're bringing people like him around. I think Matt Seidel's in the tournament. You also have like young wrestlers in the tournament, like Wheeler Yuta and Tony Deppin's in the mix. Like it's great. It's truly awesome wrestling. Like if you're a wrestling purist, you definitely need to watch it. It'll be the perfect palate cleanser from everything else in wrestling.
It really will. It really will. All right. So what other places are you heading to? We will talk about Goddess 2 again this weekend as you're there. Do we have a spoiler? Is Goddess 3 going to be announced anytime soon that we'll know? And what else is going on in your life wrestling-wise?
I'm sure that Goddesses will be running another show in October. We have been very, very successful thus far. So I would just stay tuned to their Twitter and Instagram for that, for an official announcement. I will be performing in Camp Leapfrog, the Halloween special. So that will be running on IWTV October 29th. Let's see. I actually do not have any more shows between then and Goddesses. Obviously, with coronavirus, things are a little bit more slow. And I've really been trying to make good decisions about where I wrestle. I want to wrestle at places that are safe, that are enforcing masks, that are doing temperature checks, that are sanitizing the ring. And because that's at the forefront of my mind, I've just been very, very selective with where I've worked lately. But I will also be out at the Collective in Indianapolis. I'm not wrestling, but I will be there helping with ring crew and just generally around. So if you're out that way, please say hi to me. Love to see everybody's faces.
Nice.
But that's the plan. That's like the plan for the next couple of weeks, and just try to hang out, get some training in.
Busy.
Up, take care of myself.
But busy though. We're saying this is, it's September, 23rd right now, and you're saying October Halloween. That's less than a month away. Theoretically, that's less than a month away. So you're still pretty busy.
I guess it is. Yeah.
See, you thought this was recorded way earlier. No, it's really it's right around the corner.
It is right around the corner. But like I said, just trying to kind of take it easy, make good choices, be good places, hang out with good people. That's what it's all about.
That is what it's all about. All right, shout out your social medias, everybody, so you can get some crazy Can Crusher followers, and then we'll let you go work on, I don't know, whatever you have to work on tonight. Probably your legs, I don't know.
Just, office work.
Oh, boy, that sucks. Yeah.
It's not too bad. I like my job, actually. My social media is the same handle on both Twitter and Instagram. It's at Kaia MCK, Kaia MCK. I am very active on Instagram. Twitter, I'm still kind of learning the ropes, but if you reach out to me on either of those platforms and you're reasonable, I'll chat with you. I have, I do have merch available through Instagram. I have t-shirts, stickers, 8x10s, all of that stuff. So if you're interested in any of that, just follow me and shoot me a message. I'll get you sorted.
Nice.
But that's pretty much it. I don't really use Facebook. I don't know. I had one. I started getting all these crazy friend requests from people I didn't know. And then I just kind of stopped using it. So Facebook's not really my deal, but I do have Twitter and Instagram, and I do use them to interact with my fans.
We have a Twitter as well, but I don't know. I just don't think Twitter is still, it's news. I want to go, and it gives me breaking news, but I don't want to chat with people over Twitter. I don't know. I still have never caught on to it. I've been onto it forever, but I'm not a fan of Twitter.
I feel like Twitter is one of those live by the sword, die by the sword type things, right?
Right.
A lot of people have the tool of Twitter and do not use it appropriately. So I always try to keep my Twitter very light and very happy. I do try to always put everywhere I'm wrestling on Twitter. So if you're trying to catch me and see where my dates are, that's a great source. But yeah, I don't know. I just never really got on the Twitter hype train. I don't know.
No. All right, Kaia, we will let you go at this point, and I want to make sure we stay in contact. I hope we see you at Goddess 3. I want to promise you right now, yes, that at least one of us will come out. My wife is now running down the steps to say it all depends on when it's my birthday. So I got to watch that. But thank you.
Take care of your wife.
Yeah, I know. Trust me. Yes,
she loves you.
She does love me. I don't know why sometimes, but nonetheless, thank you for stopping by.
It doesn't have to make sense. It just is.
Thanks for stopping by today, dear.
Of course, anytime, guys. Thank you for having me on your podcast today.
Well, that went better than expected. I thought that she was going to come at me I really thought she was going to come. No, she is the conduit of good karma. She's not going to come at me. She's a great person. Kaia, again, thank you for coming on the show. It was fun. Guys, follow her. Follow her on all her social medias. Buy some merch from her. And support her at shows. If you're in New Jersey this weekend, head to Goddesses. Continue to follow Goddesses. I'm telling you, I really love everything that Goddesses is doing. And she's right. She said it right. They're supernatural. They're superhero-ish. They're just super over the line characters. I love that. If you can reverse back to, my era of being a child in the 80s, that's what there was. I mentioned it on the show. This is what they're doing again now. In my mind, they are. And I'm all about it. October, when that date comes out, I really want to see if it's a possibility heading out. Man, I'd love to cover some of that. Maybe even get some more goddess talent on the show to pump up this. So if you're listening, goddess talent, and you want to come on the show, send us an email at cancrusher69@gmail.com. Find us on all our social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. They're all at cancrusher69. DM us there. Let's chat. Let's bring a lot of eyes to Goddess, because it is amazing. It really is. So again, thanks Kaia McKenna for coming on the show. I loved it. We'll continue to reach out to you and chat some more. But until then, remember, just because you're trash doesn't mean you can't do great things. It's called a garbage can, not a garbage cannot.